What is up, crew? Welcome to Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman, where our mission is to challenge you outside of your comfort zone so you can tap into the God-given potential inside and realize that you have more potential, whether that be in fitness, in faith, in your family, in business, whatever that may be. You have more within you, and I'm here to love you, but challenge you up so you can tap into it. And today's topic is very fitting because it's about being all in. And in today's culture, being all in is oftentimes looked as something negative or restrictive or bad. And it can make people feel like, well, if I go all in, what else am I missing out on? Or, hey, if I give my all to these few things, then I might be missing out on all these other things. And what I've realized through coaching and what I've realized through my own experience is what often holds people back is not the strategy or tactics. Sometimes, but oftentimes not. It's these small doubts or beliefs that hold people back from their true potential. It's hearing everything from the world, everything from culture that can be packaged and sound good in the moment, but is not actually effective or true in you living the life that you can live. And a couple months ago, I was listening to a Nick Bare podcast, which Nick Bare, he's a founder, owns BPN, and highly respect what he's built, the events that he's competed in. Like I've respected him for a while. And he had a podcast about being all in versus all consumed. And his running coach talked with him about this concept. And it not only hit home with me, I'm like that is it. It was like the light bulbs went off in my brain of like, this is it. What all in means is it means being fully committed to a mission, a goal, or a season of life, but in a way that is sustainable and aligned with a longer term purpose. You show up with that discipline and consistency, even when that motivation fades, but it's not taking away from other areas in your life that you care of. You're still giving that best. You're still putting in the work, but it's not 100% in one bucket and 0% in the others. For example, let's say I'm training for a High Rocks event that I just signed up for. It's not that my whole life revolves around my High Rocks event, that my business suffers, that my relationships suffer, that everything else suffers, and I'm only in this. It's that, hey, you know what? I can train for this High Rocks, but I still have the few priorities that I want to pour into that I make time for and can manage. Some people call this balance. Not everything is going to be 50% or equally balanced, but it's this, I'm all in on this goal, but other areas of my life don't completely suffer from it. Versus this concept of being all consumed. Many people mistake these two. Many people think all in is all consumed, and it's actually different. All consumed is when you pursue a goal and it overtakes every area of your life. Everything revolves around this one thing. It's a tunnel vision. Your identity becomes that goal, and it will cost you almost every other part of your life, whether that be relationships, your own health, your joy, your faith. Everything are sacrificed unnecessarily for this specific goal. And for example, that could be, let's take the High Rocks one, right? Everything revolves around this High Rocks goal. My relationships suffer. Maybe my faith suffers. I don't go to church on Sundays because I need to train for that goal. Everything else suffers from that one. And that is all consumed. And so many people mistake all in for all consumed. You can be all in, but that doesn't mean that you're all consumed. And I will have a caveat to this, that there's going to be some people that hear this, whether it be military or certain things that need and are going to be all consuming. But for many people, whether this be a fitness journey, a fitness goal, a business goal, it allows you to be all in with that goal, but still keep the priorities in your life. And so all in it is intentional commitment with boundaries. All consumed is obsession that leaves room for nothing else. And in this podcast, Nick Bear talks about that being all in should build you, not break you. And I love that delineation because if I'm being truthful with myself, but also with other people, especially when it comes to their fitness goals, you have to be all in. What I mean by that is not all consumed. But there's many goals in my life that if I was not all in, committed to this goal, as soon as it got hard, I would have given up. Because it's easier to give up in the short term, but be dissatisfied in the long term and not actually live out your potential there. So I love this delineation because if I'm being honest, a lot of women that join our coaching program, you can still have an amazing friends and family and life, and it should add to your life. But for you to continue to do everything the same but expect a different result is literally insanity. It's repeating the same process. And so we have to be all in about the version of us that we want to become. And why is that? Because there is going to be resistance. There is going to be challenges. There is going to be curveballs that if we were just 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I will tell you from experience, you will back out as soon as it gets hard. And so through my journey, I realized I don't need to be all consumed, but I get to be all in on my faith, all in on my personal growth, all in on my fitness. And I can still have fun with family and friends and enjoy activities. But I'm going to pose the question, is the cost worth it? And like I said, when we want to define all in, it is not perfection. It is not the constant hustle or never resting. It is not this like just burning the wheel at both ends, just like a hamster on a wheel, just da-da-da-da-da. That is not what all in is. What all in is commitment. What all in is there is going to be sacrifice and full trust in yourself, but also God's plan for you. There is a commitment to being all in. I think of this as a visual of a swimming pool, right? If I'm half in of a swimming pool, I'm not swimming. If my 1 foot in and 1 foot out is in a swimming pool, I'm kind of dry, kind of wet. I'm not really ever swimming, but I'm kind of also in dry land. Like there's this push in this pull. Like I'm kind of, and that's where a lot of people live their entire lives is we're in this gray area. Like I kind of want this, but I kind of want to keep this. And so they never produce the results in their fitness or their personal life because they're playing this tug of war game. They don't realize that this is the issue. They either think that, well, I can't do the thing or I'm not capable of the thing. When really it's just that they're trying to be in both and they haven't actually made a decision. To make a decision means to cut away. That means cut away all the other options. And so for me to pursue that goal and to get the results that I want, I need to be committed to it. I need to be fully in. Think of a relationship, right? For a relationship to work, you need to be fully committed to that relationship. Well, why? There's going to be adversity that comes. There's going to be temptation that comes. There's going to be things that are going to try to sway it off. And if I'm not fully committed to that, as soon as something hard comes, I'm going to duck out and I'm going to go in a different direction. But if I'm fully committed to that, that doesn't mean I put up with some stuff that I shouldn't put up with, right? I still have boundaries for myself. I still have standards. However, if I'm fully committed, that means I persist through that. That means I worked through those challenges. And this is not a relationship podcast, but it's a lens to look through because we all have relationships, so that we be friends, significant others. And the thing about being all in is we cannot prioritize everything here. We cannot be all in about 10 different things. For our women, the visual that I like to use is pretend like you are juggling some balls, okay? And up on these balls, there's some glass balls and there's these rubber balls. These glass balls are the things that you cannot drop. Like if you drop a glass ball, what's going to happen? It's going to explode, right? Dropping a glass ball is a pretty big deal. But you also have some rubber balls in your life where in this season of your life, if I drop this ball, it's not going to implode and explode. It is going to bounce, maybe bounce a little bit lower, but it's still bouncing. And the analogy that I like to use with our group is, what are the glass balls in your life? The glass balls are the most important things. Most of the time, there's no more than 2 or 3, maximum 4, right? Those glass balls are the things that I need to catch and continually throw back up in the air. It cannot be dropped. Versus these rubber balls are, I want to feel like it's a glass ball. I want to feel like it's important. But if I'm being honest with myself, if I let this go a little bit, my world isn't going to stop. Okay, a glass ball for some parents, that's your kids, right? We got to keep them fed. We have to keep that be a priority. But if I'm being honest with myself, going out on the weekends, as much as I want to, if I'm trying to prioritize my fitness and get in better environments for me, going out every single weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday, that is a rubber ball. That's not a glass ball in my life. And so I have to get clear on what my priorities are. In this season of your life, what are your top 2 to 3 priorities? We are bombarded with a lot of things going on. That's just the life. We scroll social media, there's a bajillion things happening. And we need clarity on what those things that we need to say yes to are. And we also need clarity on what we need to say no to are. Last night, it was a perfect example. A few of my girls were going out. They were going to go kayaking, the sunset kayak. I was like, oh, that sounds like my heaven. But I didn't make food for the week yet. And I know if I don't have food made for the week, I'm going to get into the week. I'm going to be on meeting after meeting. I'm going to be busy. And not only is my nutrition going to suffer, I'm not going to show up as the best version of me there. I'm going to be hungry. I'm not going to be fueled. And so I had to make the decision, Kels, what's your priority right now? Well, my priority is a healthier version of Kels, is a fitter version of Kels. So as much as you want to say yes to this kayak, you get to say no because you're saying yes to you, a better you for this week. And so I needed my priorities straight. What do I really value in this season of my life? A season could be a couple months, could be a couple weeks, can be a couple years, and it can shift. But clarity is king here. So I'm going to transition about the cost and the reward of going all in. There is a cost to it. There's always a cost-benefit analysis. There's always a cost associated with something. If I don't work out, there's a cost of my health. If I do work out, it's the cost of my comfort. There's always a cost with something. And so the cost of going all in, it is going to require time, effort, and energy. It's going to require potentially some decently long hours or early mornings or saying no to other opportunities, just like my example there. It's going to potentially cost some relationships in your life. I always say there's certain people that they can be great people, but they're not ready for that next level that you're going. And not everybody will understand your vision. Not everybody will understand where you're headed. And some will drift away, and you have to be okay with that. It doesn't mean we talk bad about them. It doesn't mean we think that they're less than us. But we have to be okay that not every person is meant to come in every season of our lives. And for somebody that values relationships like I do, this can be tough. But I have to realize that we are all on our own individual journeys, and I need to be clear about where I want to head to understand who I need to also surround myself in my life, and also who can I extend a hand back and pull up. It is going to cost you your comfort. You will sacrifice ease. You will sacrifice certainty and predictability. It will cost you your comfort, not just if, it's a matter of when. And from a faith lens, it will cost you your control. It will cost you your self-reliance. It will cost you your ego. Because when you step into especially going all in from a faith part, you learn that you're really not in control. You learn that as much as you think it's you doing the work, it's not you. You're putting in some of the work. There's something so much bigger at play here. And so there is going to be a cost. Depending on what that cost is depending on the route that you take. There's also a cost of not going all in. And I like to pull this up just as much. The cost of not going all in is never actually tapping into the potential that you have. The cost of not going all in is staying the same with the same struggles and the same challenges and not actually taking yourself where you can go. There's a Instagram story I just posted this morning. Actually, this is so fitting. I'm going to share it out with you. So it says, you are being presented with a choice, evolve or remain. If you choose to remain unchanged, you'll be presented with the same challenges, the same routine, the same storms, the same situations until you learn from them, until you love yourself enough to say no more, until you choose change. If you choose to evolve, you will explore what lies outside of your comfort zone. You will awaken to love. You will become, you will be. You have everything you need. Choose to evolve, choose love. What they didn't put there is it will cost you your comfort. It will cost you the part of you that wants to stay the same or the part of you that wants to stay where it's at. But the bigger part of you, in my lens, the Holy Spirit, he's calling you to something bigger. And so we talk about the cost. Nobody likes paying for stuff as much, but let's also talk about the reward. There is a reward to this. We're not just doing it to do it. The reward is growth. You discover strength. You discover capacity and resilience that you didn't even know existed within you. There's reward of impact. Lives are going to be changed. Trajectories are going to be changed because you did not hold back. There's a reward of clarity. When you're fully in, decisions get easier. Oh my gosh, do they get easier? You no longer wrestle with, well, I kind of want this, but I kind of want this. No, your decision is made. The clarity is here. This is the pathway. Decisions, your life gets so much easier. For those that are indecisive, it's not that you're an indecisive person. It's oftentimes that there's a lack of clarity there, a lack of clarity of values, a lack of clarity of where you want to head. And so you think it's indecision when really there's a lack of clarity. And the last but not least is the reward is obedience. When you are obedient, blessings, what God has for you, ooh, you don't even know what all that he has for you. When you surrender, it can feel like it's costing you everything. But on the other side of that surrender, it's almost, if you've ever seen this visual on social media, it's a visual of this little girl that has a teddy bear. And it's Jesus on the other side, that he has a small teddy bear in front, and then you can see behind his back, and it's a massive teddy bear. And the visual of it is the little girl wants the little teddy bear because she doesn't see the big teddy bear behind. And if she only knew what was the big teddy bear behind, she wouldn't be wanting and not wanting to give up this little teddy bear. But he said, hey, give me this for what I have for you. And so you have to give up your control. You have to give up your surrender to receive even more of what he has for you. And the tension between the cost and reward is that the reward oftentimes doesn't come immediately, or also in the ways that you expect. There is a waiting season. And in this season, there is doubt. And this is when the persistence, the quote unquote grind comes in, because you don't see that reward right off the bat. For mamas out there, it takes 9 months, ideally, for that baby to continue to grow inside of you. There's a difference of when a seed is planted towards when the tree becomes. There's that period where it looks like nothing is happening. There's that period that it's just stagnant. That you're like, I planted this seed, but I don't see this tree yet. Like, what's going on? That same thing, there's a difference and there's a tension between the cost, your energy output, your prioritization, the effort that you're putting in versus the reward that you're getting. And man, delayed gratification, oh, is it worth it? But at times you're like, okay, is this worth it? And you're human. Remember, you're human. That is okay. But I like this truth is that the cost refines you and the reward reshapes you. When you're in that fire, when you're doing the thing, it will refine you. It will create you. It will build you. And remember, it's coming, and it's going to potentially look differently than what you think. But are you going to look back with hindsight 2020 knowledge and say, man, that was so worth it? There's multiple experiences in my life, whether that be fitness or relationally, where I was in the fire. Like it did not feel good. But I look back now and I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for those times. I'm so grateful for those refining times. And the cost now to me is worth it. But if you would talk to that Kelsey then, she would have been questioning a little bit. But you have to and you get to persist through. And so here's some practical ways to go all in. Is first we have to identify. We got to pull out of the darkness, right? Bring it to light. What are my halfway commitments right now? And think about the areas of my life. Think about my fitness journey. Fitness, faith, finance, family, relationally. What are my halfway commitments? And then 2 questions. What do I want to prioritize? What are my top 2 to 3 priorities? And I got to get incredibly clear about what I want this outcome to be or what I want to prioritize. And then you also have to ask yourself, because there is sacrifice. What am I willing to sacrifice? Okay. For me, I have a big priority of my fitness, my faith, and my business. And I'll pull a little one in there, relationships. And I don't need to 180 my life, but I need to get really clear about that. So, for example, if I'm presented with an opportunity where then I need to miss a couple workouts, I'm like, no, this is a priority right now. It's not a forever. I have a competition in 10 weeks. I need to stay focused on this goal. And after this 10 weeks, I can adjust that, right? But I need to get clear about my commitments. And I also need to be clear about what am I willing to sacrifice? Because there's going to be times where you're like, hey, I'm just not willing to sacrifice that right now. And that's okay. Any of this is okay. But you need to get clear with your own self so you can understand the decisions that you get to make. And that when you're presented with do this or that, there's no indecisiveness. There's clarity. And when you understand those half commitments, and either you make them full commitments or you put them to the wayside, then create some structures, whether this be accountability, a training plan, a few habits that you get to be anchored in. And I want you to pick one area this week that you want to go deeper, not wider. Okay? Meaning, let's not put more priorities on the table. Let's delineate, let's decrease, and be more focused on those top 2 to 3 than the 5 to 7. And so I'm going to recap this for you. The cost is real, but the reward is life-changing. And this anchor, this one's it. Playing small costs you more than going all in. In today's culture, like I said at the beginning, it can seem that going all in is restrictive. It can seem that going all in is, well, what am I going to miss out on? It can seem that going all in is not going to give you the most fulfilled, fruitful life that you want. But what I've experienced what I've seen so many others experience is that all in doesn't have to mean all consumed. That going all in doesn't mean it needs to neglect every area of your life. Is that going all in does not mean that you need to starve off the areas that you want to grow, the areas that you value. But going all in does mean we need to get clear. Going all in does mean that there is some cost, but also going all in does mean that there's a reward. And when we get clarity with that, y'all better watch out. There's a different version of you on the other side. So I love you guys. I hope this challenged you, but also inspired you to taking a look in the mirror and getting honest with yourself. And my goal for myself, and I've had to be very reflective of, like, Kelsey, you're spinning your wheels, girl. You've been doing the same dang things for the past months or years. If you want different, you got to do different. And so allow yourself to go all in. Give yourself permission to pursue what you want to pursue, and you'll be amazed on the other side. Love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.